Well, there it is. WTii here with an Element TD2 review. So I have a copy of this game, courtesy of the creator. And the game releases on the 28th of February. This is the 27th of Feb, as I'm recording this. Element TD2 is a competitive tower defense where you can play against other players, so to speak, in a fashion. It's essentially a solo survival TD. We have these in Warcraft 3, which is where the game originates from, where each player has their own zone where they build their towers and they deal with the creeps that are, part of their responsibility. However, you do see other players on the board, and those other players can have an impact on you. So they can start off rounds earlier by killing their rounds quickly if you play it in multiplayer. So we're going to take a look at single player and multiplayer and go over, the aspects of this game, what's on offer. So things such as 44 towers to choose from. There's 7 maps that definitely change the way that you're going to interact with the creeps that you have to kill on the maps. 55 waves to challenge you, and multiple elements that allow you to diverge down different paths that create the towers. So I'm going to go into some single player gameplay and I'll show you what's on offer. Hello, here we are in Element TD2. You have the offer of single player, multiplayer, leaderboard, replay, and settings. So first of all, let's take a quick look at settings actually. Depending on where you're from, you're going to want to set up your region and enable cross-region if you suffer from lag or harsh delay when playing in multiplayer. It helps to ease the frequency of the connection. It just makes it smoother. When you're building, you've got a tower grid, tower hotkeys. This is all good. This allows you to build nice and smooth and fluently, as you'll see in a moment when I get into the gameplay. The graphics, the resolutions that are on offer. You can even increase the UI, the sound. So, let's take a look at the single player. You have these neat little survival challenges here. So, you have a score between 1 and 5. So, you need to beat it and aim for a good 5. You don't have to get 5 to move on to the next challenge. In fact, you can move on to any of these challenges. You can start from the first one or from the last one, but I'd suggest if you're a new player. It's essentially a tutorial series, but it's a nice little way to introduce players and get them invested in trying to get that 5 out of 5 so they can learn the mechanics of the game. You can't check the other maps until I think you've beaten these challenges. However, I don't know there's any other challenges beyond this point. I'm not entirely sure on that. So if we did, for example, the first challenge, and Insane is the hardest difficulty, I would suggest you don't play that if you're a new player, especially if you've not been familiar with the tower defense genre. But I'm used to Insane, so essentially you just want to stick on Insane once you get the flow of the game, because you're probably going to be playing that if you do play it online. So here we are at the start. Use cannon and arrow towers to clear the upcoming waves. So you have an arrow tower. This has long range, but slightly less damage than the cannon tower, which is more of a burst. They both cost 75. Let's begin the level. Wave begins in a few seconds. You can put down a few cannon towers. You get information as to what you're fighting against at the top here. So this is nature creep. It takes 50% damage from earth and 200% damage from fire. You got interest. If you sell your tower before the interest kicks in, you get more money. So over on this side here, if you look at the top right, it says 0. That's because I've got 3 towers up. But I tend to sell the towers just before the interest is up, so you can min-max. And this is very key to playing the game, not only in single player, but also multiplayer competitively. Because you can upgrade into different things, such as the elements and interest. Most players will go 2 out of 2 interest at the start. So interest is something that you can increase. It might be a bit loud actually. Let me just nerf the volume because you might not be able to hear what I'm actually saying. So again, sell. Everything has hotkeys. You can set those up. You can either go QWER or use the base hotkeys. I use the base hotkeys. They're fine enough for the job. So I highlight these towers. You can double click them. And before that yellow bar fills, press X to sell, and then BC along the line. Or you can hold down shift whilst pressing down, well, you know, BC and then hold down shift. And then you can just put down a whole bunch of towers. I'll show you that in a second. So, that's it. And you just keep doing it until you've used up your gold. So this is what most players will do typically for the first bunch of levels. But after a while, it will involve actually playing the game properly, which is utilizing the different elements to defeat various levels. So, for example, you've got a fire creep here. It takes 50% extra damage from nature, and it takes only 50% damage from nature and 200% damage from water. So you would want to build water, ideally, versus fire levels. But every 5 levels, you get a choice to go into different elements. And you can't build all of them without sort of sacrificing the power of later advanced elements. So you have to kind of make a choice. For example, earth, fire, and water. Not earth, fire, and water. Let's say earth, fire, and light. And then you could work your way into sort of electricity. And that would be one easy way to sort of do good large amounts of area of effect damage. So they bounce their attacks, but they're not very good in single targets. So you're going to look at a balance of trying to get, you know, some area of effect versus some more single target towering going on, like Arcane Tower. So in order to highlight this screen up is spacebar, and you can see light, darkness, water, fire, nature, earth. This shows the costs, the damage type, the range. It's very easy to access. Just the spacebar will do it. Unless you wish to change the hotkey for it, but I think it's just spacebar. And you can see the different types of towers. So a trickery tower requires light and dark. So on level 5, you might pick light. Level 10, you might pick dark. So when you pick these elements, you're going to have to fight versus the boss of those elements. So the level 1 boss is very easy to kill. But it does get harder. Level 2 being more significant and 3 being much harder. So once you've got like light and dark elements, you can then go for trickery. And these are the tier 3 to a degree. Like it requires 3 elements, as you can see at the top right of that. It's light, fire, and nature. So you're going to be balancing, getting a combination of the elements to effectively build up the towers that are going to get you through the map and defeat the waves. You'll want some towers that can debuff, some towers that can splash, some towers that are more single target, some towers that have long range, some towers that are short range but high burst. You know, there's all different variants. There's even like a periodic tower here, or a more single element tower. You can focus on just upgrading the elements by themselves, but it's probably better to mix and mash and find strategies that will help you go all the way. For example, the life tower has a chance on a certain amount of kills to give you a life back. So you could effectively almost deliberately leak in the process of, you can take risks that will cost you lives, but it will make you more money, and then you get some of those lives back through the life tower. This will only work for a certain amount of time because the life tower isn't the best tower, but it can work to get some of those lives back, which will be much more crucial in the late game. Do you see what I mean? So you need to go nature and light for that. So there's strategies that you can divulge into, but initially you're going to start off with arrow and cannon towers. Just wipe the mobs, build up your interest, typically 2 points into interest first, and then start choosing which elements you're going to go. And make sure to sell your towers before the interest kicks in, and then rebuild them again immediately. And try to keep killing the mobs like that. So that's the general gameplay, and you can go through each of these different challenges. I'll just show you a different map. So you've got different designs here, and I've not played this one before, and that looks like a really funky kind of design. I could think the portal's like here and here. It's not all the same layout. The creeps are going to go the same way. For example, on this, they go here. Very simple. This is the standard map that you would play, nice and easy, but there's others where you might have double portals. So you've got a portal here and a portal here. So you're going to have creeps coming from both sides of the map and going around their path. So let's go with this ice map, for example. It doesn't matter about the difficulty, I'm just showing off the different flavors. So you've unlocked an element to pick. I always go with interest first because I'm greedy. It just means more money in the long run. So this is where the creeps are heading towards because it's the red portals. This is where the creeps spawn from over here. Maybe they spawn from just one location, but they split up. So this is interesting. So let's put down some cannon towers here and see what happens. I've not played this before. The maps are quite beautiful, actually. Like, the design is quite pleasant, I would say, to look upon. Certainly not offensive to the eyes. It reminisces me of Dota 2. It has a sort of like vibe of that. So you can see the creeps actually split there. So the creeps that went on the left path, I've done almost nothing towards. So I'm rebuilding to deal with these. It'll take a while to get used to some of these maps. And the pattern that the creeps go. I would say one criticism would be, as a new player, I don't know where those creeps are going to go. There's no sort of like arrows pointing the creeps' general direction throughout the map. But if you play the maps enough, you would memorize it. So splash damage would be quite good as they intersect. A long-range tower maybe here, so it can reach as far as possible. Because when you build towers, you can see their range. That red circle indicates how far the tower can reach. And most towers, especially light towers, can reach very far. So you're going to have difficulties to choose from here. Again, Insane is what you would play once you've got a good flow of the game. It would probably take, I don't know, between 5 to 10 successful victories for, you know, the average player properly before they would maybe feel comfortable enough to play on Insane. You can have different modes, so you can either pick your elements, which means you have control every 5 levels, or it's random, so what you get is what you get, and then you have to make do with it and try to build a strategy upon what's given to you. So all random is a very fun sort of mechanic that's often in Warcraft 3 custom games. So it, you know, it kind of gives energy and flavor that would force you to be in a situation that you wouldn't normally do. So you fight outside of your comfort zone, and if you win, it's pretty rewarding. You have different lengths here, so you can start from level 1, and right from the beginning, it's very slow for the first 11 levels though. You will spend a lot of time building cannon towers, then selling them, and then building cannon towers, and then selling them again in before the interest if you want to min-max. You don't have to do that. If you're playing on Insane, it would be suggested that you do that. But you can also choose from short, which begins you at level 11, and free element picks. Start from wave 26, and you get 6,000 gold and 6 element picks. Bear in mind that if you put 3 points into dark, it will spawn the boss on the 3rd point, because you only get up to 2 points in each element for free. So those element picks mean you get them for free. Oh, I'm going to have 2 points in light. I'm going to have 2 points in darkness. I'm going to have 2 points in interest. You're done. If you go 3 points in dark, it will spawn the level 3 boss, and you're dead. So don't do that. Just stick to 2 of any type. Chaos. I'm not actually familiar with what Chaos is or Extreme. It says the wave order is set in stone. And the next wave doesn't start until the... Oh, right. So this could be useful for like multiplayer games where you just want to concentrate on your game and not have other people affect you. The next wave doesn't start until the current wave is cleared. Because what might happen is you go an interest build, which involves a slower pace of killing the mobs. But your opponent, so to speak, who's next to you on the map, but not actually right where you are, he's building his own maze. He goes full on into earth elementals and kills the waves really quickly. Well, what happens is, typically, is the next wave will start as soon as one wave has been killed. So that really screws you over. So if you're playing on multiplayer without this mode, which we typically do, it definitely makes it very challenging for anyone that wants to go down an interest build. Because it takes time to build up on interest, obviously. You couldn't just make all the money from the beginning. So if you want to get away from that situation, you can have that activated. God mode is off or on. I assume that God mode probably gives you unlimited lives or means that you don't lose lives, but I don't know because I've not tried it. So you have the different maps here. Lots of different flavors. I'll load into each map so you can have a quick glimpse. So this is lava. I may as well just let the level begin and see what happens. So one thing to point out is this is your area. This is player 2's area. This is player 3's area and so forth. So you're playing your own game. Oh, here's the portal. I can see it now. And you got little speeds that you can choose here. This is only available in single player though, these speeds. But if you're confident enough, you can just go through the level. So what I would sometimes do is build a whole bunch of towers, then speed it up by 3, and then sell the towers as the interest is reaching, and rinse and repeat, so you can just speed up the initial beginning of the game. What happens when you leak, though, is your interest stops. So you can't sort of abuse your lives too much, because there's no advantage to me leaking there, because as you can see, I'm not still getting interest off the 263 gold that I'm currently banking. So you want to still make sure that you kill the waves before they reach the end. Otherwise you've got to kill them before your interest kicks back in again. I'm being told by Phaedric that chaos means the waves are random. Instead of a set sequence of like water, earth to fire. In chaos it would be dark to water to earth. Oh yes, that would make sense. So the order... The first level I think is normally nature and then it goes on from there. But the first level could maybe be dark or light, which means if you had a specific strategy that was going to be countering nature, I think that's earth towers, you would become a bit of a cropper, because your earth towers might actually get countered by the wave that spawns at the start, and that could be something that means that earth towers only do 50% damage to it. Wow, look at this map. Okay, so mobs are going to spawn from here. They'll probably go like that around here and into the red portal. This map looks a little bit darker, more ominous. Seem to have 2 portals and they're purple. So does that mean it's one and the same? Like I get the feeling that the waves would spawn from both of them and also go into both of them. So these ones would spawn from here and go into here, and these ones would spawn from here and go into here. I'm just guessing. I've not seen this level before. So one of the things that's really nice about this game is the single player. I think the single player is very perfected. The original map came from Warcraft 3. The guys have been working on it. They know what makes the map tick. You have this spacebar which you can not only just see what options you have available to you, but when you have the gold available or the elements that allow those towers to be built, you can actually click on the Jinx tower, for example, if I had dark, fire and nature, and it would just select it automatically. I don't have to build a dark tower, then upgrade that into another type, and then upgrade that one. You can just straight up pick the tower from here and place it on the map, which saves complicated upgrading processes with towers. Here they come. I just want to see what they do. They do, don't they? So they can just come from the spawn point and go into it as well. And then they... Yeah, alright, awesome. However, I will definitely criticize this. The multiplayer is not fluid, smooth. I will test it shortly to see how it's playing. There have been improvements since I very first received the key to make multiplayer a little bit better, but there have been issues with players disconnecting at the start or disconnecting midway through, you know, at some point into it, and there's definitely a delay. So when you play this in single player, the game plays so smooth, and there's like no ping issues whatsoever. You can build, you can destroy your towers, you can do it within milliseconds of the execution. And it's very easy to play. Plus, in single player, you've got like the speed options. So it's really nice from that aspect. So if you're looking for a tower defense that you can just get your teeth into and try different modes and play with different towers and combine them to get, you know, different powers, different styles and strategies to defeat the 55 waves on different maps, that will definitely change how. Because that first map, the forest one is going to be the easiest one because it's the most straightforward, but maps like this will end up making a strategy that works really well in forest look really bad on this map. So you might have to... there's potential there. It's a very simple game, though. I'm going to say that. There's not much to it other than what you're basically seeing. You put down the towers, you deal with the waves, and then you move on to the next level and see what it's defeated. The only thing that changes this mechanically is really essentially the towers themselves playing out on the different maps. Some towers might be good on one map, other towers might be better on another map. But generally speaking, it's a pretty simplistic game. So if you're after something that isn't particularly complicated, this might work for you. But the multiplayer is really going to be a point of contention, and I can only speak from where it stands at this point in time. I don't know where the multiplayer is going to be sat 1 week after the game releases, or 2 weeks, or 3 weeks, and so forth. Because it makes it a little bit hard to play, if not almost impossible to play multiplayer. For so many reasons, your friends might disconnect, so then you have to remake the game, and they might continue to disconnect. And you're trying to make it so that you can sort of play smoothly together, but you're still constricted by the delay and the lag. So I have a big contention when it comes to the multiplayer. But we will see. Nice sandy desert. Mobs would come through here. Ah, into there. And that one would probably go like that. Something like that. I won't show off all the maps in their full detail, but just to give you some flavour. And then, of course, we've seen that ice map. And then there's random. So if you just wanted to be challenged in particular, you can let the randomness decide. So the challenges are nice. A little tutorial way. I don't know if there's challenges for the other maps, but you get the idea. Even if you leak, it doesn't affect the score, I don't think. It's just the main thing is that you complete the challenge. So that's single player, essentially. You would just choose your difficulty and, you know, the randomness of the game and go from there on whichever map you choose. Moving into multiplayer, however, we do have quick play, which has been added. Originally, it was just lobby list, and you would create your game. You could set up the difficulties here, but even when you create the game, you then have to reset it up. So you can see I've got forest here. I could choose winter, but typically forest, insane. And then you got your chat, so you can speak to the people that join the game, and you make it public, so then they can join it. So you can either do it from this way, but I found that when we played it through this way, people would sometimes disconnect right from the beginning. So I'm just going to show off the quick play, I think. With ranked game being disconnected at the moment because the game isn't currently released. It would most likely be something that features once the game is released or some point after it. So typically, quick play would be insane. We're not going to play it the whole way through. In fact, I'll put it on extra short just to show you off some of the more late game towers. And pick. So it's going to look for a game, and within 60 seconds it's going to start the game. So whether there's people there or not, I think it just begins from the 60-second mark. So it doesn't have to fill up to 8 players, which I think is a good thing, because the last thing you want to do is search for a game, be stuck at 7 out of 8 players for the longest time possible, whilst that search time just keeps on flowing. You just want to find your game, after 60 seconds, get it going. The load time can be quite long as well, by the way, once you sort of go into multiplayer. Okay, so we're into a multiplayer game right now. And we're going to pick, for the sake of just surviving the initial runs, because I'm not going to play this the whole way through, we're just going to put points into some random towers and see what we can build from that. Get out of it. No, you haven't. I know this. I know him. Okay. So you got the score here. If you use tab, this shows you your net worth, the lives, so you can see it from the other players as well. The elements they've chosen and the creeps they have left. So this is Ice Cat. He's got fire, earth, and nature tower. And person is yet to decide. The same with myself. So as I showed earlier, we can choose, for example, an atom tower. Each consecutive attack against the same target gains 15% increased damage. So you want that to be able to continuously attack the same target. So you would probably want that somewhere in the middle where it can always hit that target and always reach, as you can see the circle. So we're going to place that. as you can see, there is definitely a delay, which hurts. We have a Blacksmith Tower here. This is a tower that boosts attack speed of up to 4 nearby towers. I need to build a lot more, by the way, because otherwise I'm going to die. So water takes extra damage from dark, but we don't have any points in dark. I'm going to upgrade my lightning towers, what ones I can, and that's going to be into electricity tower, and they splash damage over and over. So don't worry too much about me dying or whatever. I just want to show off how this works. So we've got an atom tower to focus, as you can see. If you click on the creep, you can actually see it moving around the map, the health it has, the movement speed percentage, its armor type, and its ability. Some of them gain a shield, some of them move quickly, some of them sort of respawn upon death, things like that. So the Blacksmith Tower, if you hover over here, it tells you what its damage type is, so what it's good against. I might actually die straight away here. So I'm going to try to do this really quickly. The power up, so that's the buff that the tower receives. So if we looked at the electricity tower, each attack bounces to another creep within 900 range. And you can see your range, your attack speed, your damage, the splash, the kills that the tower's received. And you have commands here. I'm definitely dead. You have commands here that will choose between killing a weak creature, a creature that's old, a creature that's near, that's far. That's a very important command key that you want to place on certain towers. Some towers do extra damage the further a mob is away from them, and others do more damage to... well, they do high splash damage, so you would want to select strong. Yeah, I know I was going to die. Like I needed to build right at the start. I couldn't even afford to leak any lives. It's on insane difficulty, which is what you want to get to, because it's very challenging. If you play it on insane difficulty and with the very short mode, it's even harder, because effectively you haven't got any of the interest that you would have built up from the earlier levels. It's absolutely fine. I can still see from what is it, person's point of view, unless he's going to die in a second. Nah, he's got 50 lives, so we're okay. We can just observe from person. That means I can commentate a little bit more easily. So you've got the current level coming up, and you have the ability. So everything is like kind of what I was saying, a bit perfected. These guys know what they're doing when they're creating the design of the game itself. You can clearly see what, you know, doesn't do damage to it or what does extra damage. You can clearly read and see, you know, what ability these creatures have. So these ones, for example, actually debuff your towers. No, the ones beforehand did. It's moved on now. So 3 seconds after dying, this creep will come back to life. And it gives you a little clue. It's weak to area of effect damage. So towers with high splash damage that attack strong targets. So strong targets are ones with higher health pools. You know, you don't want to attack like the weakest ones if you've got a tower that does a lot of damage, because it's wasting a large portion of that damage. So Dark Creep is next. So you can see what level comes after one another. So you can sort of prepare for the next level a little bit here. So upon death, all creeps within 175 area of effect are healed by 30% of their maximum health. Wow. You want to take those down quickly then if you can. That's pretty nasty. So this will tell you like what level boss you're going to spawn if you choose to go into it. Gain an essence, allowing you to upgrade a single element tower to level 4, or build a periodic tower, which is something like a rainbow kind of tower that has like each of everything. But I've not really gone into that. Again, you've got the total gold. You can see the interest that you would receive and the percentage of that. So generally speaking, I think that's more or less the game covered. I would say the music's good. It gets you into the flow. A lot of it is quite gentle and relaxing, but then you have these more sort of intense tracks that sort of like wake you up a bit. The sound is clear, I think. The audio in regards to the mobs being attacked by the towers, the impact sounds, the death sounds, I don't think there's any issues from my part in regards to this. You can see how other people still continue to play the game though. If you go into a multiplayer game, you can actually observe. This might be another way to sort of get yourself more familiarized with the game, is maybe just to join a multiplayer game, effectively die, but then spectate, and you can see, oh, so he went for a quake tower and a fire tower, and you know, what is it that this does? Oh, every 10 tower attacks, this tower releases a powerful shockwave. Okay. Well, that seems pretty powerful. Maybe I'll try that next time. So how do I build that? Okay, well, let's look for Quake Tower. Okay, over here. So we need earth, fire, nature. Do you see what I mean? So you can see other people's strategies. You can see what it is that they do. And then you can try to work on your own variation of that strategy. Multiplayer works, but it's problematic. Sometimes people can disconnect. Sometimes the lag... Well, the lag is always there so far. Hopefully there'll be improvements. I've got to say the multiplayer is the weakest point of this game, but I still haven't had many decent issues myself. So if you have a weak connection, maybe that might impact you. The single player is pretty much spot on though. So I'm not really one of these guys that says, oh, should you buy it, shouldn't you buy it? That's generally up to you, because I don't know who you are or what your preferences are. But I can tell you that if you enjoy tower defenses, this is one that essentially originates from Warcraft 3 many, many years ago and has essentially been worked on to become its own standalone game. So the creators know what they're doing when it comes to creating a balanced tower defense with different flavors and styles. Whether the game itself warrants the price tag that they put on it, I don't know. It's up to you to decide that. If you enjoy playing single player tower defenses, then maybe this is a good game for you to hop in and play and enjoy. But the multiplayer is currently the weakest part. Still works. Perhaps it might be improved with time. So keep an eye for any updates potentially that refer to multiplayer. We've got a leaderboard here. Win strike. What a score. What a net worth. Good job, buddy. So you can compete against others by the looks of it, just from the leaderboard perspective, to see who can get the most money after the period of time of playing. So it gives an effective score as well. And this goes for different maps. As you can see, Forest is by far the most popular map. You can watch your replay. Can you? I'm going to try. It opens up a folder. And I'm just going to try to open up one of these. So this will be the latest game. So you can watch your multiplayer replays in maximum speed and watch how I die. Because I basically don't build anything for way too long as I'm explaining everything. So you have to have your towers really set up before the wave starts, otherwise you're in way too much trouble. And there you go. That is Element TD. Make of it what you will. If you enjoyed this, make sure to thumbs up, subscribe, and give me some feedback in regards to whether you enjoyed this or not, whether it's any use to you. Hopefully this gave you some sort of idea as to what Element TD2 is. I'm not going to tell you to buy it because I'm not sort of paid for this in any way, shape or form. I simply received a key, but these are just my initial thoughts. I think it's a fun game to play in single player. You might want to hop in from time to time, try to beat maybe the people on the leaderboard, work a way around it. At least multiplayer has the option to just quick play, so you can just join a game that's going to put you automatically with others, because that was a suggestion I had. Rather than trying to join games that people created because maybe they kick you or something like that. I don't know why they would, but at least with quick play, it's almost like a multiplayer let's go kind of thing. Let's play. And then ranked if you're really confident. Alright, thank you guys. Have a really nice day and take care.